Oh, hello, my friends. I'm so happy to be here with you on this live stream and Carrie Roldan, our business BFF. Hello, Carrie.
Hey, Rachel, and hey, the dots on Rachel's face.
I swear, doesn't matter where I move. Today, though, we're not talking about dots. We're talking about you. So the theme of today is your life's theme. And Carrie, of course, I'm introducing this to her right now, too. I've been thinking a lot lately, Karen and I have been talking about this too, about how we try to find out things about ourselves. We get validation from a lot of places, from astrology, like our birth chart or our nodes, if you know what that means. We look to personality tests. We look to numerology. We look for feedback from our friends and family. Like we are getting input about who we are from a lot of different places. And on my aligned income call on Monday, I took people through a whole bunch of journaling exercises just to like mine their past and like uncover things that they haven't thought of in a long time. And I realized that we try to get all this feedback about who we are, but a lot of the times we then reject what it says or we disregard what we find as being valuable. And we keep going on pretending that we don't really know who we are. And that's okay. We can do that for a long time. But I wanted to talk today more matter of factly about how you really do know who you are. There's a lot of different data points that you can point to from your life. And just to reinforce the fact that you can trust your own personal likes and dislikes. That is a huge part of why you're here on this planet as a non physical being choosing to be here. So, hopefully, today will be a little bit confidence building, a little bit introspective. And if you are planning to do something different with your life from now on. Maybe you're going to work for yourself. Maybe you're reinventing your current business or job, or you want to take up a hobby that's meaningful to you. I think today is really going to provide you with some good feedback for that.
Okay, I'm super excited. I'm like, one thing you didn't mention is intuitive art, right? As a way we look for who we are. But I find this fascinating because I love a good personality test. I still haven't done, there's one there like you do your colors. I still don't know my colors, but like I've done a lot of different personality tests and I love the validation that I get from the personality test. And I also love every once in a while, there's some sort of meaningful insight, like try approaching things this way right. That is like super helpful that I appreciate about those tests. But I'm remembering a time in my life where I think I must have said to somebody, you know me better than I know myself. And maybe I felt that way about a boyfriend or like, I don't even know. Like, I know I've said that out loud to other people, probably a boyfriend. And like how untrue that is. Like what I think I was doing was just giving away my power and not wanting to maybe it felt too hard to claim who I am and what I'm about and what's meaningful to me. But I think about that. And I think that is a phrase that is kind of used in our society quite a bit. Like, I know you better than you know yourself. And so I love that we're just calling bullshit on that. And I'm super excited about where this conversation is going to go today. So thanks for bringing it up, Rachel.
You're welcome. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I came up with this idea for today. But this morning, I spent a bunch of time doing soul portraits and full expression intuitive art for people. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I should do it for myself too. And just to show you, like, this is my current soul portrait of like a fast version of that. And it's about inspired action and like spiritual action. So like action coming like deep from within my soul and like the extra energy I'm pulling. And it also has alignment here, like an angelic alignment, like a gentle smile to a stranger. But you see how these swirls aren't like all lined up on top of one another? And see how they're like, it's kind of like a little chaotic in there, right? And Carrie was talking to me yesterday, and I was like, I just kind of want to work today. Like, I don't want to take the day off. And she's like, yeah, of course, you're a generator. You are going to want to work. And that just reminded me of this. It's just like, yeah, I want to do a lot of different things, and they don't all line up perfectly on top of one another. And that's something I need to keep remembering about myself when I keep having all these big ideas. It's okay for me to do it. That's how I function best. So, this is just one example of how I do know myself, and it shows up in all the places that I always look. And I get feedback from friends about that. So, the more I embrace that, the easier my life is. And when I wasn't embracing this was a lot of negative self-talk. Like, why do I always start things and never finish them right when I want to, right? Like things would take longer because I was doing more than one thing at once. Why can't I focus on one thing at a time? Everybody says you have to pick one thing and focus down. Like, I felt out of the box because this wasn't what society was reflecting to me was the right way to do it. So, really embracing ourselves lets us have our natural energy flow and lets us do what we are meant to do, right? Because everybody is unique.
I am so glad you just said that, because I was about to take the conversation like, oh, I hope I'm not like tangent, but like I was gonna take it down that road of like, isn't it interesting how so many of us actually think that our natural tendencies are somehow wrong? And so we should all over ourselves and we look for systems or like, I don't know, day planners, or like we try and squeeze ourselves into something that works for other people or something that we think like should work for us, when that is just not how we naturally are. And we're naturally the way we are. I'm going to yawn, for a really good reason. And so, yeah, you, Rachel, have been a really good example to me about like, yeah, I start things and don't finish them. I do eventually finish them, but I don't like execute from start to finish before I move on, because that doesn't work for me. And I remember, I think I've talked about it on these live streams before, but I had a friend frame one of my behaviors as productive puttering. So instead of just like wandering around, starting things and not finishing them, she was like, no, that's productive puttering. It's super important for your feminine energy. So that little shift, right? It was like, oh, that is naturally the way I am. And I feel amazing about that, and like shifted everything. And so I love that we can just recognize how you were made, how you naturally are. You do know yourself, and you probably know what works best for you. And you probably have, I know I am guilty of this as a parent. I went into my daughter's room and was like, oh my God, she's 11. And if you know 11-year-olds, their personal spaces tend to be disasters. There's exceptions. I know there are very tidy 11-year-olds, but mine is not. But it totally works for her. She knows where everything is. She's got piles. She's like, it looks to me like, how does anyone function in here? And she's like, don't touch that. That's where this goes. Like, so, yeah, she knows herself.
I love that. And yeah, speaking of systems, the second drawing that I did for myself and others today was, so this is my soul portrait, right? This is like what energy essence I'm bringing here. Like, I did another one, which really surprised me actually. So when I came up with this bonus call, it was really like, I wanted people to know what their full expression would entail. And I thought it would be like showing everybody's creativity and their desired output and like what energy they were putting out into the world. But what is actually in these drawings is that proper system for allowing our full expression. It's like the structure we need to have full expression. And you can barely see around and a little bit inside is this contentment color. There you go. It's like a light tan color. And then I have this dark blue and this inner. So my contentment is contentment. this is like a deep focused alignment. So like my meditation practice, my walks, like focusing throughout the day on plugging into myself. And then this here is joy. I need joy, alignment, and contentment in order to facilitate my full expression. And it's very different from the other ones that I did today. So I just love that. And it just goes to show, right? There is no one planner for everybody. There's no one work zone. Like, I don't really like to work until noon, but I love working in the early evening. That's like my sweet spot. Carrie is like dead by 2 p.m., and that wouldn't work for her. So I think it's just fascinating that we all have our own rhythms. And, I'm almost 40. I know my rhythms, but I probably also knew them at like 22. So we really do know ourselves.
Well, and speaking of those rhythms, like this goes back to, are you listening to yourself? Are you trusting yourself, right? Rachel said you can trust your own personal likes and dislikes. Like, it's okay that I don't like to work in the afternoon. It's okay. Like, I'm not great in the afternoon. I'm not even, I recognize like, oh, I really like to, my husband's yelling. I really like to move and chat. Like, I like to like run and have a conversation. I like to, and I've learned ways to like bring that into the way that I do my work. And like, that's okay. It's actually when I'm at my best. And I don't have to beat myself up for being someone, even, guys, it took me a long time to come to terms with this. But even like, I don't want to ever go out at night, like for girls' night when like friends are like, let's get together and have drinks. Like, no, I'm never going to want to do that. But you know what I love doing? Meeting my friend at like 5:30 every Sunday to go running, right? Like, that's just who I am. And it fills me up. And so I don't have to feel guilty because going out for drinks on a Thursday night would deplete me. Right? It would deplete me. I wouldn't be at my best. I wouldn't, and it wouldn't make me feel good, and I wouldn't be productive the next day, and it would have after effects. And so just knowing like I'm at an age now where I trust myself, right? I just say no, like, you guys have fun. But there were years where that was not the case because I didn't think that I was normal. I thought like Rachel, I'm going to go, when I first started getting coaching, people kept telling me over and over and again, you have to have more fun. So your joy color, right? But I didn't associate fun and joy. And so people would tell me you need to have more fun. And I was like, oh, fun is exhausting. And it's because like I was associating fun with things that are fun for other people, but that like actually weren't fun for me. Fun for me is going on a run at 5 a.m. and talking about things that matter. I mean, maybe 6 a.m., but like, that's fun. Going to a carnival is like my nightmare. And that was the sort of thing that I was associating with fun. So I'm just rambling on my own personal stories, but it's sort of to let you know, like, you do know yourself, and whatever your preferences are, they're valid. They're valid. They're perfect for you.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, I know, Carrie, you don't drink alcohol, neither do I. And so hanging out at a bar is probably not going to be fun for us regardless, like, of whether we're night owls or not. And, that is one thing that has evolved for me as I've gotten older, is just like giving myself permission to bow out of things that, I would have peer pressured myself into before. Like, oh no, it's okay. I can be the person that doesn't drink that goes to the bar, but like, is it really going to be a good time for me? No. My partner and I made a deal a long time ago that we wouldn't do anything that really wasn't interesting to us just for the other person. Now, of course, once in a while, I want to go to like a family event or something that I wouldn't normally feel like is fun, but that doesn't really happen often. And I feel like the more you can give yourself permission to really spend time in your own happy bubble, right? Like your own self-defined good place, then everything else is going to work more harmoniously. And, like I know sometimes it can worry you. What is a friend going to think? What are family members going to think? I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But the less you can feed that energy, the more you can feed your own happiness and fulfillment and relaxation, the better the outside of your world is going to function. I promise. So, I mean, I wrote down like this huge list, right, of all the places we get feedback, but this is the biggest feedback. It's you, it's how you feel in certain situations with certain people, and your own thoughts about yourself, right? I think Abraham's daily quote this morning was like, decide to be happy. Decide to be happy. Even if you have to look at someone that you don't like, decide you're going to be happy anyway. It's a really personal choice to decide you are good enough. You can pursue the things that you are interested in, right? Like you can know yourself, be happy, choose you in any circumstance. I mean, if Elie Wiesel could do it in the Holocaust, then I think we could all do it in our own lives, because we are extremely privileged to be here on this live stream together. Like we're here, we made it. And we have so much power.
We're talking a lot about our preferences and our power. And what about this? This just came up with someone in my life recently. It's my preference that other people like me. Right? So this one has been like, I want to honor myself, and I want to do what's right for me. And inside I already know what's right, but I don't want so-and-so to be mad. I don't want so-and-so to think less of me, right? That is I feel like maybe an interesting predicament that a lot of us get into, where like honoring myself means potentially disappointing someone else, or having someone else be angry at me, or having someone else be, and I don't like, it is my preference not to have people be angry at me. So I'm in a pickle. What do I do?
Well, you already know how I feel about this one. Boy, have I made some people angry over the years choosing myself. But it comes down to this. You cannot be someone else's source. If someone else is that dependent on you for their own happiness, there is a definite imbalance there that you are not helping by feeding. Because what is that giving them? Not much. If you are their source of happiness, then that's not. What happens if you can't go? What happens if you have to disappointment? What happens if, like something, right? Whether it's a choice that you feel you can or can't make, or it's an actual like emergency or event that takes you away from them, they're going to have to find out how to be happy on their own at some point anyway. And if you choose yourself, you give them the ultimate gift, because you are showing them that it's okay to do that. You're being an example to them that, everybody is worth it. You're worth happiness. You're worth alignment. And your truth disarms. If you are honest, if you are like, hey, I need to do this for me, this is what my body's telling me is most important for me. If you show your truth to someone and they reject that, then it's not about you. It's about them. And it's just something you have to accept, right? You accept your truth. You need to accept their truth in the moment too. So I know it can be really bumpy out there, really rough. But if you live your life for another person, what are you getting out of that deal? Not much.
Amen, sisters. Well, one of the things that you've always said to me that was super helpful is, Carrie, if it's best for you, it's best for everyone. I mean, game changer, right? To recognize that. And sometimes we can't see how it's best for everyone, right? We're like, how is choosing this best for so-and-so? It means, how is choosing what's best for me also best for them? Because it means disappointing them. It means letting them down. It means leaving them high and dry. It means whatever, right? But it's so reassuring to remember that, like, but if it's best for me, it really is best for everyone. We don't have to know, we don't have to understand the how. That will reveal itself once we actually choose what's best for us. And it has like time and time and time and time again. And it's just that, like, trusting yourself enough to choose yourself. Because we do think, like, if I let them down, right? Were we just talking about this, Rachel? Did we talk about this last week? This disappointing other people and the sense of obligation. Was that a conversation I had with you or someone else?
Maybe. I mean, I think we talk about it a lot, so it's hard to know where.
Well, either way, I see Jane in the comments saying, yes, that was big for me. I've been telling myself that a lot lately. Jane, that profile picture is so cute.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. And you guys, so this happened. I know it's been scary for me when I really care deeply about that other person and I have to choose myself. But like, boy, choosing yourself over and over again, it actually does work out to be best for everyone. And like you said, if you're choosing them, you're creating this weird dynamic anyways. So I just had the conversation with my daughter I'm like, I know this is weird because like you've spent most of your childhood. I mean, I feel like I'm a fairly enlightened parent. She's about to be 18 but I'm like, your job now is like purely to listen to yourself. And really it's always been that, but there's also been like some, well, do this and dad and I will be happy, or do it right. Like you have felt that growing up, like, oh, it pleases my parents to do this and it pleases me to please my parents. But you gotta let go of that, right? Like there's lots of people who think that they know what is best for you, but really you're the only one that you can trust. And I think that was a little scary for her, but also empowering.
Well, that's also true for relationships. Like a lot of people have a dominant spouse, not dominant in any kind of negative way even, but just like they have their own life view. They think they know what's best for everyone. Maybe they're very vocal about that. And if you think differently about yourself and you have your own feedback system, it's okay for you to disagree with the people that you love. It's okay for you to be yourself. It's okay for you to have your own confidence that lies outside their realm. Like, I know when I got married in my early 20s, my whole life was like, oh, how can I be the perfect wife now? Like, this is so fun. I love this. And how can I, be the person that they really want to marry and love and be with? And that was a disaster, my friends. That was like the worst decision I could have made, but it was very normal, very expected, right? So we all have to learn the hard way, kind of, just to be ourselves and to value who we are, because that's really the only way we're going to be happy. A lot of us here, we think about this idea of purpose, right? Like we're all kind of spiritual people and we love this idea of fulfilling a role on this planet right now, of helping out, right? We all have our own idea of what that is, but we can't be on purpose if we're not channeling ourselves, if we're not inviting our bigger source energy, our non-physical being into this picture right here. And when we're doing that, we feel good, we feel lit up, we feel like we're overflowing. And that's really what this comes down to. I know Carrie interviewed me years and years and years ago, and she wanted me to tell her life purpose because I'm psychic, right? And I think I told her it's just to be yourself. It's to do what feels good to you. It's to you living on your frontier of your creative edge, your life's edge of what's curious to you, what's calling you forward, who do you want to be, right? And for Carrie, that's so different than me and you and Zach and Guillaume and Jane, right? And Corinne. Like everyone has their own version of what that is, which is what we need on this planet. We need everybody to be themselves to create this beautiful harmony. And so, yeah, there isn't one thing you're here to do. You're here to do you, which I think is really exciting. I love that.
I'm still pissed about that, actually. It was like, I remember I was so excited to interview you and like have you, like, I was terrified and it was so vulnerable to, like, because I've shared this, like I felt like anytime I talked to Rachel, she was like peering deeply into my soul. And so like, I thought she could see like my every secret, my every vulnerability, my like, and I was like, all right, so what's my purpose? And I don't know what I was expecting, but she was like, your purpose is to be you. And I was like, wah, wah, wah. Like such a letdown. Are you kidding me? Like I'm already me. I thought my purpose was to like, I don't know, like I wanted you to say, well, your purpose on earth is to have your own talk show or to, right. Like it was like something, it's to win the lottery. That's your purpose. Um, and you were like, your purpose is to be your awesome self. And I was like, oh, like, but now, like now that has so much more meaning to me, right? Is like recognizing like, oh, being myself, honoring myself, trusting myself, doing what comes naturally to me, what feels joyful, not fun for me, but joyful, right? Like that actually I can do fun now. It's just different. That is my purpose. And when I am in that, I am doing so many things that are fulfilling the kinds of purposes that I thought that you were going to say, right? Like if you had said it's your purpose to be a high school cross country coach, I would be like, okay, right? But instead you said it's your purpose to be yourself. Or if you had said, you know, it's your purpose to be a mother, I would have been like, oh, okay. Actually, I would have been really bummed out by that because I was already a mother. And while I loved it, I definitely felt like there's something bigger, there's something more. I'm rambling now, but just to say I was bummed in the moment, but now I get it because the more I lean into myself, the more I am fulfilling those kinds of purposes that I really wanted you to tell me.
Yeah. And let's go deeper into that, because when we are bummed out by that answer, it just shows our level of self-love and self-worth, right? Like if my purpose is to be myself and I don't think I'm very much, I'm going to be really disappointed because I thought I was here for something bigger. I thought I was here to be something really amazing, but I don't think I'm that amazing. I must need to fulfill some other role in order to be amazing. And that's normal. I mean, I think our general level of like self-love and self-appreciation is pretty low on this planet. I would include myself in that. I disregard myself all the time still, even though I actively work on this every day. So the thing that's so important to me to remember, and Intimate Alien is huge on reminding us of this, is that we are unlimited, gigantic, multi-dimensional source beings, which means there is no limit to what we can do here. So we keep pulling our energy in, we get more focused on ourselves, more refined in our preferences, more boundaries for our alignment, saying yes and no to things that really match up with us. We keep pulling more energy, more and more of this unlimited multidimensional energy. What happens? Our impact can grow. Our resources grow. Our idea of purpose grows. Like what we do, who we are in this world grows. And that's how we have that ever increasing edge of purpose and potential. And that's the feeling that we're all craving. And it's so cool that we can have that. It doesn't cost anything. We can keep pulling that through as long as we're paying attention to what it is true for us.
You got a love, 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 love from Zach. Like, yeah, I said you got big yawns out of me and I'm still yawning. So
I do want to highlight this from Jane. Like, yes, it is a funny paradox that we help others the most when we help ourselves. It's so true. And it never stops. Like I'm having a friend right now who's in a very depressed place. We don't know each other that well. And I wasn't sure how to reach out, right? Because I don't want to be that annoying happy person when somebody is depressed. And so what I did is I was like, oh, you know what? I remember when I was feeling like that, and I actually dropped out of high school because of it. And I went through years and years, a decade of deep depression. And so I posted that on my Instagram because I'm happy that happened. I'm better now. Like everything worked out. And I know that for people going through that, it can work out too. And that person saw that and it was great. But it also had the effect of being like, it showed more people. So my inspired idea, my alignment, and something that I did 20 years ago is still helping people. And I absolutely did that for myself. So it never ends either. Like time is not a linear thing. It's you are all things at all times. And you still have an impact regardless of when you do something.
So this is sort of leading to, we started with your life's theme and we've sort of transitioned to purpose. But my friend, it was so interesting. So I had just been on the aligned income call with you, and then I was talking with a friend, and she told me that she had recently applied for a job, and that, she was excited about what the job was and felt like she wasn't qualified. But one of the things that she had to do in order to apply for this job was to put together a portfolio. And then she realized, like, she was looking at what she had done and recognizing, like, oh my God, I'm so qualified. Like, I'm so uniquely qualified. All of the things that I've done in my life have prepared me. Like, I thought that this was a long shot because I didn't have the qualifications for this job. But as I'm putting together my portfolio, I'm like, I am so amazing. And that's something similar to what we had done on Aligned Income. But it's just a reminder, like, your life's theme it's in your story. It's in all the things that you've done. It's in one of the things that you asked us to think about, Rachel, was phases that we've been in. And this friend was poking fun at me because she's like, you didn't have any phases, did you? And I was like, no, not really. I mean, I did, but not like, I recognize, like, oh, there's a theme in my life that is like, I'm not really all that susceptible to outside influence. like there was no grunge phase, there was no punk rock phase, there was no like 80s crimped hair phase. Like, Rachel just showed me a picture earlier of this friend of ours in like really fun boots. Like, there was no fun boots phase. Like what you see is what you get, and it started really young. Anyways, I don't know why I'm saying that, except for that, like, finding, like, looking back at your life and your story and all the things you've done and what you've accomplished and all their phases, like, that really does give you a sense of self-ownership and a deeper appreciation for who you are. And that the things that happen to you, going back to your story, the things that happen to you, yeah, they matter. Yeah, they matter. It's not like something you just got through, right? Like, that's part of the themes in your life.
Yeah, and those themes can inform you now. It's kind of like how we have our energetic layer, our emotional layer, physical layer, right? Like the themes in your life are like the physical part of your energy, right? Just like I can do a soul portrait in intuitive art and explain to you your energy in words and in color. And so for Carrie, I mean, a big theme of hers is leadership. And that happens to show up in almost every single thing that she does with her children, with her track team and her cross country team, with the work that she does with me and with her other ventures. Like, she cannot help but be a leader. That is just part of her energy. And with me, maybe it's like, finding these patterns and explaining things from a non-physical point of view. I can't not do that. I was being interviewed by someone the other day, and I just kept going back to this like higher energetic perspective of things. I just can't not do that. And so uncovering these things about yourself, like actually writing them out, can be really helpful in you organizing your life. So basically now, if another opportunity comes my way that isn't in one of these themes that I have in my life, basically like outdoor adventure stuff and writing and extrasensory themes like that, if it doesn't add into that and it's not lighting me up, right? I'm not getting that feedback from my soul, then even if it's like a huge deal, like, being on Good Morning America, if it doesn't light me up and it's not part of these themes, I can pretty much be sure, like, it's okay to say no to that. I don't need, like, that's not really my path forward, as good as it sounds. And I think knowing yourself, being able to feel yourself, can give you a lot more clarity and ease and relaxation in planning your path forward, because we want to use our brain and our heart, right? A lot of us, we can't just live from intuition. I think I probably do mostly just live from intuition, but a lot of people that doesn't work for, because that's not part of your full expression framework, right? Most of the people that I did drawings for today had a lot of thought in there. They need to be able to process things in their mind, and that's okay. But like, knowing who you are in actual like words, like having them written down, can really help you make decisions about your future.
So I want to tell you a story about me and leadership. And then I haven't asked, but I'm scared to ask, but it's too late now, so I'm gonna ask. But is recognizing that was hard for me to like, I know that I am a leader, right? I know that like that has been, and when you asked for like themes in our life and awards and things, I was like, oh, that started so early for me, where I got recognition for being a leader. And that could be a whole nother conversation. Like, did I become a leader because I was recognized, or was I born that way?
Well, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second, because one of my earliest memories was being like my essay being read in front of class, because it was like brilliant for like a, fourth grader. It's like, we are who we are, right?
Well, yes, and right, we're who we are. If that, like that memory stuck with you, right, and reinforced, like, oh, I'm brilliant. That's who I am. And I love that it was an essay too, right? And now you're writing so much. I'm gonna yawn. But this is about honoring yourself, because I do know that I'm a leader, and I do know that I am great at being in charge of stuff. I was gonna say stuff and shit, but I said chef. So I do know that I'm good at being in charge of stuff. And I now know that I need to be careful with that energy, because if I just haphazardly, what happens now is that I quickly get put in charge of things, because I'm like, ugh, this is how it needs to go. Like, it's so easy for me to see how it needs to go. And so I have to recognize, if I get involved at all, I know that I will eventually be leading this. So do I really want to lead this? No, then don't get involved at all. Like, I have to have that boundary with myself, because otherwise I like find myself in leadership in places where I don't want to lead, because leadership is all I know how to do. Not all I know how to do, but one of the things that I can't not do. So that is one of the ways, like, knowing this about myself has helped me to not feel guilty around saying no to. I just did it today. I was like, oh, I should volunteer for the book fair, because my kid loves it when I volunteer at her school. But I actually just asked myself, do I really want to? And the answer was no. But you know why I don't really want to is because I don't want to be in charge of the book fair. And if I volunteer, I will soon be in charge. So there we go with that.
Yeah. And I wasn't calling myself out for being brilliant. I was more like,
you're brilliant.
I was called out for being a writer. And,
but Rachel, pause. I'm going to affirm you in being brilliant. And I'm going to say brilliant has lots of different meanings, right? Mm-hmm. But here you are, like, literally shining, bathed in natural light from the window, and dots and sparkles and rainbows. And like, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. You are brilliant in the United States tends to mean like really, really smart, right? But brilliant just means like you shine. You are brilliant. So own it. Take it with you.
Will do. Our hair is getting really close to looking similar.
I know. You guys.
I do have a haircut next week.
Rachel does not have gray in her roots yet, but I'm just not sure.
It's there.
Look at us.
Yeah. Look at our gray today. This is our truth.
And we're cool with it. Here's my ask. Will you do one of those for me? One of those drawings that I forget what you just called it. The framework. I'm curious.
Yeah, like what you need for your full expression.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah. Do you want to answer Zach's question or his?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. I know a couple of chronically depressed people arguably with reason, and I avoid them and feel guilt about it. So actually, this is not a question. This is just noticing. Oh, so my question back is, do you feel guilty about avoiding them? Do you feel guilty about wanting to avoid them? Do you feel guilty about honoring yourself? Oh, got a yawn. And then a reminder, Zach, that if it's best for you, it's best for everyone. And another reminder that the strongest energy wins. And I know this has been hard for me as someone who is an empath and can feel into other people's energy, is recognizing that it is okay for me to, people used to just come to me all the time and be like, I need carry time. Can I pick your brain for a sec? I need carry time. Like, and it was because like they were at a lower vibration and I had stronger energy and they wanted some of that. But I wasn't yet at the place where I could just be in my own energy all the time. And so what would wind up happening is trying to cheer people up, or right, like it depleted me quite a bit. And so if that's you, then it's perfectly acceptable to avoid those people, right? Like it's not your responsibility to fill other people up. You can't. I see. You said you feel guilty about their plight, but I understand about energy. So follow-up question, why do you feel guilt about their plight? My guess is you didn't put them there. You didn't like sprinkle, you weren't the cause of why ever they're feeling depressed. You weren't. So you can relax. You can release yourself from that feeling of guilt, right? That's like Abraham talks about like feeling guilty for having money, but it's not like you're having money is taking it from someone else. There's plenty of well-being to go around as well. So you don't have to feel guilty that you feel great and they don't, because there's plenty of you're not taking the well-being from them.
Love it.
Yeah.
And if you are here vibrationally happy, clear, and they are here vibrationally depressed, pessimistic, right, stuck there, you can't reach them anyway. You'd have to get depressed in order to reach them, and then you're both depressed. So wait for an inspired action, right, to radiate your place of where they want to be. But other than that, you can't do anything anyway. Yeah.
All right. Show it to me, Rachel. Show me my drawing.
Okay, Carrie. This is for you. This is how you can experience your full expression. It's interesting. There's a lot of overlap here. And the call outs are creative container. You need your own way to schedule. You need your own way to get things done. You need your own flexibility in your day because you have a lot of things on your plate and your creativity is in problem solving. And so that is the number one thing. You also have thought here, kind of like making a basket. So your brain is required in this. You need to have everything on board. You can't just be intuitive, right? It has to match. It has to sync up for you to feel relaxed about it. And then on the inside, there's basically two colors of love. There's a universal love that makes a double heart here. And to me, that's signifying like you need to feel optimistic. You need to feel like that love for people. You need friendship. You need that reflection that the world is a good place. Like you need to feed your heart with universal love. Like that is a requirement for you to function properly. And the last thing is this darker like pink. It's like a mauvey pink here, dusty. And that for me is like self-love, self-care. And it's funny because it kind of makes the shape of like a heart monitor. And so it's reminding me of exercise, movement. You know, you have your needs for your heart in how you see the world, but you also have the physical needs of your heart that you need to pump that in order to feel whole and productive and inspired. So that is your full expression structure.
You guys, oh, thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Like, so good. And I hope that watching that was helpful, because it was so helpful for me. It was validating. It was showing me what I already know. Like the minute you said self-love, I was like, oh yeah, like working out. Like, right? For some people, maybe that's not that for them. But yes, and the creative container. And you said that my creativity is problem solving. Yeah, you guys, I try so hard to think that creativity is like Rachel's making quilts or like doing crafts. It's not my creativity. It's not. It's not. Oh, this is taking us down a different path, but all of my friends. So I have a friend group from when our kids were in preschool, and we're still friends, and that's really cool, right? But it comes to because we all sort of met, and it was our first children and our first thing into preschool, and we like connected with each other. Anyways, we were really good friends. We still are. I'm going to talk to you guys about the picnic blanket things that we would do. And but they also had craft nights. And craft night was everyone would get together and they would do crafts. So they would like knit or like felt or like, I don't know, do crafty things and drink wine. And they always wanted me to come. And I really did want to like be included. But it happened at night. It was alcohol and crafts. I was like, I just can't. And guess what? I didn't have to do that to still be their friend. I didn't have to do that to still be like, it's the joke because they're like, oh, we're going to have a craft night. Carrie's not coming. But, but that's okay. Anyways, I don't know where we're going with that. Oh, creativity and crafts. Like I so saw myself in that drawing and having that validation of like, here's your framework. None of it is news to me, but it feels so amazing to have it reflected back. So thanks.
You're very welcome. Yeah. And you know, one of the other ones I did today was just 2 colors of brown. So lots of grounding, lots of quiet time. You know, everyone is different, and that is great. So, I mean, I guess the theme of today really is here, I wrote down a sentence. I probably already said something similar, but well, first of all, don't fight yourself. Stop fighting with yourself. And we like learning about ourselves, but often disregard what we find as valuable. You are valuable. Your natural tendencies are valuable. What makes you curious is valuable. You remember when I spent 3 years watching makeup videos and not owning a stick of makeup or a pot of makeup or anything before Intimate Alien? And then boom, what did I need? All this makeup technique, right? So you can trust yourself. And the more you relax and trust yourself, the more energy you'll have to do more fun things that are fun to you, and your life will start taking off. So if you're at all in a place of stagnancy or just feeling like you're wanting more, relax and just go with your natural energies, because that is always trying to lead you in the direction of that more, of that potential.
Even if you can't see the how,
Mm-hmm.
you probably won't be able to see the how. If you honor yourself, it's worthwhile. And
Yes.
how that honoring yourself will bring you to the thing that you are asking for will happen in the most like amazing, miraculous, surprise and delight ways. Like they are maybe it's seemingly unconnected, but not at all. I'm looking at our comments. This is a good one for me, Rachel, because I have been yawning all the way. But I thought it was Jane, but it's Zach saying, for me, it's always imagination and intuition. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that those things are connected entirely. But even imagination, right? Like what happens in my imagination or how I express what's going on in my imagination is going to be so different than what's going on in yours. And I think the biggest thing when you said, I don't know if you use the word discount or like don't value. You said we don't value. But I was just on a conversation with a friend and I was saying like, I'm so glad she got in her business is doing amazing. And she got to the place in her business where she thought like she was supposed to hire people for everything. And so she did. But she hired people who weren't doing as good of job as her in sales. And I was affirming her for taking the sales back. And it happened in the most beautiful way. Like it was perfect, but she took back the sales in her company and sales have skyrocketed. Like they have gone, and I said, I'm just so glad you're there. Like that's your zone of genius. That's where you belong. And she was like, I mean, it's not hard. Anyone can do it. She's like, it's literally a 10-minute conversation. She was basically saying, I'm not good at the sales. All I do is show up and ask for their credit card. And I was like, you need to stop because I promise you, other people would screw that up. Like you're amazing at it. It's just so easy for you that you're like, oh, anyone could do it. And I have felt that in so many ways and had to be reminded by people who love me that like, no, anyone can't do it. You are just amazing at it. So if there's something in your life where you are really discounting the fact like, oh, it's just so easy. I mean, anyone could do it. All I have to do is like, I call bullshit on that. You are exceptional at it. You are amazing at it. Even if it's just because the energy that you bring, it's always just about the energy that you bring. Like this woman in sales, right? She's like, it's literally a script. You just show up. I'm like, yeah, but you go through that process and you have a 90% close rate. And someone else goes through that process and they have a 10% close rate. Same script. So anyways, just a little love for you guys. You're amazing.
Yeah. So we all know the feeling of being something for someone else, being the best employee, the best spouse, the best dog owner, whatever. We know it doesn't feel very good because what we get from that is, maybe some praise here and there, but that doesn't feed us for long. We do know how good it feels to make the choices that are resonant with ourselves. We know how content we can feel to just do whatever we want to do one day, one afternoon, right? So this was all just about acknowledging you, like Carrie said, and you know what you want to do, what you like, what you don't like. So do more of what you do like. And it's that simple. It's the good stuff of life. And it brings you the things you want. It brings you the resources. It brings you the friends. It brings you the things that are resonant to you. Because if you're being more of yourself, you're attracting things to the real you. Isn't that amazing? I love that. So let's see.
So
this is for you, Carrie. Yes, that is so right. It's easy. If it's easy, it's likely you're genius. Yeah.
And even that, like, I know I used to discount, like, people are like, that's your genius. I'm like, I mean, it's not really genius. Like, it's just second nature. And it's like, yep, that's your genius. If it's second nature, that's your genius. But genius is a word like brilliant, right? Like, we've turned it into meaning like, oh, you're really smart at that. And it's like, I don't know, it's just really easy for me. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And so that can be helpful. Sometimes it's hard because it's so obvious we miss it, if that makes sense. Like it's easy for other people to point out to you like what you're good at, and then it's easy for you to dismiss it because it's not that hard. But that's the whole point. Like, yeah, it's not that hard for you, but I remember I was on a run. I remember this so vividly because I was on a run with my friend Holiday and we never run from my house. We always run from her house. But for some reason, we were running from my house, and I was talking to her, and I was venting about whatever was going on coaching wise. And I was like, oh my God, it's not that hard. Like, all you have to do. And she's like, Carrie, it's not hard for you. Own it. Own that. It's really hard for other people. And I was like, oh, okay, I will own it. And like, just hearing that was so helpful, because it was like, oh, it isn't hard for me, but it possibly is hard for other people. So I can stop saying that it's not that hard and recognize, this is my genius. This is where I belong. I'm being called here, right? This is a place where I would love to lead, because it's not that hard and I could do such a good job at it, right? So yeah, if there is a calling like that in your life right now, or if there's a situation in your life right now where you're looking at it, because we haven't talked about that this much on this channel, Rachel, but pet peeves, things that frustrate us, those are often like little flashing light signs saying, oh yeah, that's because this is for you, right? Like, this is something for you to look at. And that was definitely one of them for me. Like, I was irritated at the way someone else was doing something, because I knew how to do it and I knew it was for me to do. So yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to learn how to do drawings like these and work with people, add this to what you're currently doing, or just do this as its own career profession, check out the certification, you guys. It's really amazing. It's really thorough. And it's always wonderful to show a client a drawing and to have them have that lit up moment. Like, that never gets old. When I poll all of our graduates, their favorite part of doing this is that aha moment that their clients or students get. Totally feeds the soul. So go to intuitiveart.com, check out the certification tab at the top, or just go directly to intuitiveart.com/certification and learn more.
And you guys, I'm a certified intuitive artist, and you saw me like still respond to Rachel's drawing. Like, can I do that drawing for myself? Yeah. Did I think to do it? No. And it was amazing. And but I wanted to share what it has brought for me and my coaching practice is I consider myself a pretty good coach. I trust my intuition. I honor like what comes through. And it is such a valuable tool. Having intuitive art is such a valuable tool inside of a coaching practice, inside of a coaching session. Do I use it in every session with every client? No. But do I use it really regularly? Yes. And you guys watched me respond to Rachel's drawing, right? And then having that drawing, Rachel did my soul portrait. I don't know how long ago, but like, I go back to the photo of that drawing. I'm going to yawn again. Often, right? Go back to that as a reminder. I have drawings on my walls telling me about my business or my roles in certain things, right? Like, it's so validating. So it is what I'm getting at is, if you're already a coach, it's such a great tool to have in your arsenal. And it's such a valuable resource for your clients to go back to over and over again. So if you're already a coach, I highly recommend becoming a certified intuitive artist. But even if you're not already a coach and you're just feeling led in that direction, your intuition never, ever steers you wrong. We have so many certified intuitive artists doing such amazing things in the world. Like, that's the beauty, right? Like, so many cool ways that people are using this tool.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be fancy, right? Like, this tool is valuable in and of itself, regardless of what you put a label on it as. Just like you are valuable in and of yourself. You don't need to put a fancy label on yourself to really have a great impact in the world. Oh, yes. So Jane, yeah, we do. It's so much fun. So we're at time, everybody. I'm so excited about what we talked about today. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. We love you. And we'll see you next time. Maybe we'll talk about things that annoy us next time and what that means. So I think we've done that before.
I feel like we have. That one takes us down rabbit holes for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay.